Right, thank you for those lovely countdowns, but we have a discussion after this. Indeed, it is 1 minute past 8 a.m. Remember, it is Thursday, of course, the Social and Health Hour right here on Lookup Television. And we are in the headquarters, ladies and gentlemen. If you're joining us for the first time, it is so good to hear you. Write in the comment section on YouTube and Facebook. Our website is working, www.lookuptv.co.ke. And of course, later on, we'll be having a discussion on our seeds, our health. 3 years ago, we were having a discussion on Kenya's push for a purely formal seed system could be bad for farmers. Today on our discussion, we'll be able to understand on all these contexts as far as seeds. We'll be joined in to have that discussion in the best way possible. But just to take you on the glimpse of what is happening across the social media, and of course, you remember the story on the assassination, which is alarming right here, even as we come to the alignment on what really happened. There's so much discussions to that as the Directorate of Criminal Investigation try to find what really indeed happened to that particular point. Now, allow me to just give you a glimpse on what is highlighted on the Standard. Says assassins on wheels, which is the headline this morning on the Standard. And of course, there's so much discussions towards this. Also, the Daily Nation captures that House Lane lawyer was ambushed. If you're looking at that magazine right this morning, it says that Nairobi lawyer Matthew Chalo Mbobu was on his way home when he was shot in the head by a gunman on a boda. Not only to a lawyer, lecturer and philanthropist eliminated. This is Nairobi's new face of terror. Gun on motorbikes, cutting down lawyers, MPs and businessmen in broad daylight. And remember, this story comes in the wake of there's some goons that were seen in CBD. Also, there's some Gen Zs that are seen holding pangas in the wake of these insecurities that are alarming. So people are crying out loud that what indeed is happening. Are they sponsored or not? Of course, that story will be taken into consideration with the awakening of what really is intensifying right here in the Republic, as many are calling out for the government to really take a look into this. Of course, on the Daily Nation right this morning, House Lane lawyer was ambushed. That is also the headline this morning. Of course, to just give you a glimpse on the city lawyer Chalo Mbobu, Nairobi, says that, let me read it once more. It says, this is the Daily Nation, the horror gangland style execution this week evening when senior lawyer Matthew Chalo Mbobu was shot dead by gunmen as he drove to his current home. He was waylaid on his regular route barely 2 hours after leaving his city center office. Remember, there are a couple of stories that have been happening right here. And of course, even as we discuss about this, what indeed were they looking for or hunting out? And this lawyer, the family is seeking justice as we continue to that extent. So they're saying that the disputes, of course, tribunal chairperson Matthew Chalo Mbobu was on Tuesday evening shot dead by unknown assailants in the Galleria Brookhouse area along Magadi Road, Nairobi. What indeed was happening? Was there something that Mbobu was hiding? Witnesses told the Standard that the Mbobu PM, which is quite early, by an assailant riding on a motorbike who opened fire before speeding away. Multimedia content services at the time of his shooting. So they knew that. They knew that he was alone. Well and good. We'll get an insight on that. And of course, our digital platforms will be working to really understand the situations that are happening. On the other way, around those stories, Nepal protests hijacked a Gen Z claim as army patrol the streets at ODM at 20, Raila Odinga's party to mark 2 decades with the grand Mombasa celebrations. We are waiting for that and see what's the outcome towards that. Kenya National Civil Human Rights mourns Felicia Mburu, Deputy Director of Research and Compliance. May her soul rest in peace. CS Duale commits 100 million towards an activity right there. But up to that extent, of course, to just give you a glimpse on what is happening on grieving the loss of one of its most committed leaders, Felicia Mburu, who served as the Deputy Director of Research and Compliance. Mburu passed a few days ago after a brief illness, leaving behind a legacy of tireless advocacy and unwavering dedication to human rights. All right. Up to that point in time, ladies and gentlemen, allow me also to give you a glimpse on our today's discussion, whereas the new MRI scanning tech promises to transform healthcare in Kenya. Remember, we had a discussion previous conversations on health engagements, and today, of course, without further ado, we will not discuss about the MRI and the sharp problems, but we'll major in a discussion on the seeds and our health. Of course, to cut across, our seeds in Kenya likely refers to companies like Kenya Seed Company and Seed Company Kenya, which produce and market a wide range of seeds for various crops and horticultural crops to ensure food security. So the seed types and availability, which Chris Pass will be able to help us understand cultural seeds and indigenous seeds. Ladies and gentlemen, join us till the top of the hour. It is just a few minutes after 8 a.m. and of course the conversation still is ongoing. Our website is working, and of course our WhatsApp number is working. 0745762640. It's our WhatsApp line. Remember, you can call in. Cheza kama you can call in live. Nita receive Papa Hapa. Of course, you can also send in your suggestion, your comments on the understanding on seeds. Later on, the discussion will be spearheaded by Crispus Kinywa, the founder and director of IFJAD, and Emmanuel Kileti, the project officer, CSHEP. Thank you so much. We're taking a few minutes break, then drink some water because of our health, then a conversation to that extent. Don't go too far. Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
Finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Lookup TV.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Pindi tu taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao
kuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
If you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
but you do not know the God who has been molding me, what has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying.
You plan your finances.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Government want farmers to grow crops for licensed seeds only. These are hybrid seeds that are certified by free of various. The Seeds and Plant Varieties Act makes it a crime to plant and exchange uncertified seeds, but many small-scale farmers rely with their neighbors to secure their food supply. Of course, Oliver Kirui, whose research focuses on agricultural and economic transformation policies for insights into the implications of banning informal seeds exchanges in Kenya. So what are formal and informal seed exchanges? Of course, you'll be able to help us understand that. And of course, Kenya's push in 2022, Kenya's push for a purely formal seed system could be bad for farmers. Today, on our segment today, we are speaking about our seeds, our health. And the question this morning is why indigenous crops matter for public health. It is a conversation that you do not want to miss because we engage in this every time, more often, and of course, as more often as possible. And of course, in the conversation, we'll be able to shape an understanding that seeds are the foundation of Kenyan farmers have relied on indigenous seeds, millet, sorghum, cowpeas, amaranth, and leafy vegetables. There are resilient and part of a cultural identity. Today, rising cost and limited access to quality seeds alongside pressure from hybrid and genetically modified varieties controlled by a few companies are threatening both farmers' livelihoods and the diversity of food on our plates. Protecting these seeds what experts call seed sovereignty, is essential for healthier diets, stronger communities, and a resilient food system in Kenya. Crispus and Emmanuel are joining us this morning. It's so lovely to see you, and of course you're fully packed. We start with Crispus. If you look at this engagement, the first inspiration to all this, there's someone watching us live right now and say, hey, na ni nini hizi bwana tumeletewa leo? What is the in-depth understanding of?
Thank you so much, and good morning to all our viewers. My name is Crispus Kenywa, and it's a pleasure to be back here.
All right.
Always a pleasure. Systems. So this setup here, we are showing or showcasing different seeds, indigenous seeds, from maize. I'm sure many of probably there's people who have never seen this kind of maize, and very, very big beans that we call noe in Kikuyu. I'm not sure the English name, and various, also something called here njugumawe, or zimbande, and many seeds basically that we are showcasing today. And it's this, we are doing what we call advocacy, promoting indigenous seeds, and because we are saying that indigenous seeds are good for us, good for health, and good for the climate as well, compared to all other seeds that we are seeing being pushed by foreign interests. Yeah.
As you carried them, which one is the most important in the line of advocacy?
Are important, and the reason for that is that when God was making this, He made them with different and specific nutrients. Remember that the reason why is because of nutrition. Our bears or our ancestors would eat all of these different ones, and it had very positive effects on their health, on their bodies. Even as research shows that those times there were fewer diseases, and so all these have their own importance. They are all very important. I wouldn't say that there is one that has more weight than the other. I would say that all of them have an important role.
All right.
And like what we see now with a lot of overemphasis on maize. You know, in Kenya, we overemphasize on maize. Maize. It's like the most important crop. But in this, what we are showcasing here, indigenous, every seed is important, and every seed is nutritious.
All right. As we listen to the voice of Emmanuel as well, he's mentioned something about maize becoming the day in, day out. Even as we grew up, we realized that this is our staple food, and every time, kama hakuna mahindi kwa hiyo chakula, there is a problem. So with this understanding, what really happens when we are creating advocacy, and why these so many seeds that you've come?
First, I'm Emmanuel Kileti. I work with C-Shep Kenya. C-Shep is an organization that trains farmers on organic farming. We are based in Kiserian and in Deya, in Limuru.
Amazing.
So whatever you are asking is what touches us mostly, especially when we are mentioning these seeds.
Indeed.
Yeah, the seeds, just as the way Crispus said, our seeds, our health.
Indeed.
And we can also add our heritage, because without these seeds, we cannot progress. We must eat something that is good for our health.
Indeed.
Yeah, so there are very many developments concerning some inventions, some GMOs, some other varieties. But this seed information that people are underdoing. This just require a farmer. You produce these seeds. You just do some small modification, like smoking. For us, we even put over the kitchen.
So that is smoked?
Yeah, you smoke and add. You don't have to undergo all other processes like I have to put these chemicals, I have to preserve using this variety. Yeah.
Where's the white maize?
Yeah, white maize. No, I guess we didn't get the white maize. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What is the really difference between that one and this one?
Now, just even as the color, as you can see, give me this color. All this color, we have the red, we have the purple, we have the black, we have all these other varieties. So just as like other cones, they give you the same nutrients. But this color also have something on top of it.
Indeed.
Something we are calling it antioxidant. Antioxidant is something that helps you, preventing you from heart diseases, cancer, aging, even aging and brain function. So this coloration is because of that thing that is having on top of the other corn varieties that we know.
And so pia inaweza kwa kisiagi.
Kula antioxidant. So when you eat this, you share kula antioxidant mwenyewe.
All right.
Yeah.
Bishop Emmanuel Kileti, we are meeting for the first time, and of course I understand that Crispus we had already met and had a few discussions as well. Before we jump in now to the official discussion, did you have the inspiration all along before you got to the understanding of seeds? What really happened? Did the inspiration come when you were growing up, or it came when now you're becoming a professional?
Okay, yeah, I can think it has been a silent passion because I never knew this one is coming to be the real thing for my life. Back at home, we are farming community. We normally grow different varieties of crops.
Indeed.
So I went to school. In the college, I did sustainable agriculture. That is now, it has brought me to C-Shape, where we are doing a lot of sustainable organic farming practices.
Amazing.
So it is now becoming a way of life for me, and I'm seeing myself doing this more and more.
All right.
Yeah.
And when you're carrying these seeds all the way to this place, what was running in your mind?
I was carrying these seeds. I was just saying, when I find, if there is somebody who has been interested in watching or having these indigenous seeds, and they have never even seen or hear that there are indigenous seeds or there are seeds of these types, that person can follow us and get something for themselves. I was just having something like, somebody should learn something out of these seeds.
Indeed.
Yeah, you'll get, because these are valuable to us, very close to our heart. So when we get one person getting or having interest on these seeds, that is our big achievement.
Indeed.
Yes.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, you've heard their voices. Emmanuel Kileti right here and Crispus Kinyo are here with us to help us understand the context on all these seeds. Luckily, of course, we are having, this one is a type of seed, maroon maize, and of course, C-Shape's Kiserian, of course, date of collection and blah. These are the details. So we are having this entire engagement, and later on, of course, we'll be able to answer the question that of course, why indigenous design, and of course, why does it matter to our public health as well, and of course, how does our seeds becomes health, why indigenous crops matter for public health. Crispus, you say our health begins with the seed. What does that really mean for Kenyans today?
Great question. Our health begins with the seed. This is to mean that the health of the public at large depends on the kinds of foods that we eat for a year and another, and all the food we eat comes from the seeds that we grow. And so if we grow seeds that are not if we have problems at the seed level, for instance, what we are experiencing now, with fewer varieties of seeds that we are growing, this will translate to the the health outcomes of the public, because we eat less. You know, we do have a big problem right now with our food, whereby we depend on very few varieties of crops, and most of them are actually the hybrid ones and the modern ones. And yet we have so many varieties of foods that we have been forgetting of the past, as we have been as.
And
that's a very good thing, because when we lose this, like Emmanuel has said, this, for instance, this maize now, the red color, you will find it having a lot of the bioactive compounds, the antioxidants, and it will also be, it's rich in vitamin A, for instance, the beta carotene. So when we lose the seeds, we are also losing what? The positive health outcomes, the nutrients as well. And so depending on few varieties of crops, that's just the calories, nutrients. Yeah, that's what.
Where does the life part comes in? We're speaking about the health and really understanding as we ship the seeds, as we get them to the ground. Where does life comes in?
The issue of health and life comes in like this. I'll give you an example with the millets, for instance. We have some millets here. millets. Actually, this is a better finger millet. Let me just show you an example of finger millet.
All right.
Compare these now to probably the super refined white ugali maize, the flour we are seeing in our supermarkets and in our televisions. Why are indigenous seeds and foods healthier than those ones? It's because I'm going to give you around 5 reasons. Number 1, indigenous seeds and foods are nutrient dense. Nutrient density means for every food you take, you get a lot of nutrients at the same time. Again, compare it with the super refined maize flour, you just get calories. And probably there's a little vitamin A that is fortified. It has to be added chemicals for it to have the vitamin A. The second reason is that, so in the issue of it being nutrient dense, it means that they are rich in iron, for instance, like the millets, very rich in iron, rich in calcium, rich in magnesium, and rich in other, many other, vitamin A, like now what we said, rich in all those nutrients. The second reason why the indigenous seeds and crops are superior is because, like now for, again, the issue of millets, they have gluten-free protein. You know, gluten is a problem to many people these days, but they have the gluten-free protein. The other reason why they are important is because they have complex carbohydrates, the millets. Complex carbohydrates are very important in the body. They don't spike blood sugars as high as refined maize flour does, because it doesn't have the simple sugars. These ones will be digested slowly, and they will not have those blood spikes. So it's also good for prevention and also management of diabetes. The other reason is because they are rich in fiber. Remember last time we were talking about constipation, how it's a problem. These indigenous seeds have high fiber, which means they would help in digestion and in gut health. And the last reason is because of what my colleague here has mentioned, issues of what you call the bioactive compounds, the tannins, the phenolic compounds, which are they have very protective roles. They protect you against heart diseases, they protect you against cancer, they protect you against inflammatory diseases. Including the chronic inflammation.
Amazing.
So they have a lot of benefits. If you compare it with the maize, very white, super refined maize, there's no comparison.
Yeah, na usisahau kutuambia about the GMO as well. So of course, in understanding, before I get to Emmanuel, there is the point on the Kenyan who is the consumer and the farmer, and you ask this question very intentional, that what does all this engagement really mean for this particular Kenyan today? Many of them wouldn't be in a position to understand the seeds and how they're being brought up, but how do we make sure that there is this consumer that will really understand the subject on seeds becoming our health? Therefore, the farmer might just design it just for the betterment of having some income. But what about this consumer who is now the Kenyan today?
The problem we've been facing with our food is that concept called commodification, where we treat food as something like a phone that you make and you sell to people regardless of the quality of it, regardless of anything. It's a big problem. I'm sure you've seen around people complaining about the quality of food, probably food grown in sewage, food grown in chemicals, food, all those things.
Okay.
It's because what the farmers, some of these farmers just want quick money, quick cash, but they don't care for consumers. So it's important for the consumer to understand that the food you eat affects your health, either positively or negatively. And so it's important.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. First, Emmanuel, how do indigenous crops like millet, sorghum, or spider plant improve nutrition and help prevent diseases such as anemia or diabetes? Of course, it's a nutrition-focused question. The design of really understanding and embracing the fact that what Crispus has just mentioned, it is very important for someone who is consuming this today, and for the purposes of tomorrow, it is indeed better to understand how these things are coming up. And of course, when you're having this engagement, it's very, when I was asking this question to Crispus earlier on about Kenya's push for a purely formal seed system, which could be barred for farmers, up to this moment, do you think it is barred? And of course, the question now is ignited by your understanding on how does indigenous crops like millet, which we are having right today, sorghum, or spider plant improve nutrition and help prevent diseases such as anemia or diabetes, which are the common diseases that many people face when it comes now to diet and understanding, healthy behaviors. And of course, if you are having this kind of examples, millet, sorghum, you can also mention to the audience. They can see and embrace them in the better way possible.
Okay, thank you for the good question. First, before even I say, we normally say you are what you eat.
Indeed.
We also say you eat food as medicine and not medicine as food.
All right.
So that summarizes everything. Like when you are mentioning the case of this millet, sorghum, this is a whole meal. When you are taking these indigenous seeds, or food now, seeds become food.
Indeed.
So when you are consuming this food, you don't have to say like, I need this, I need this. These are just, it is a natural setup, whereby when you take this, it naturally reverses the condition. So for somebody who want to have a complete health without saying anemia, diabetes, or any other condition, just know what you are eating and the plan of the food you are consuming, because all these foods are medicine naturally. Remember the way Crispus mentioned. When you take this, you are having a complete vitamin, complete elements that the body requires. So where will the anemia come from? Where will this diabetes come from when you are consuming a whole meal? So we are saying, for you to have better health, to avoid all these dietary related diseases, just ask yourself where you are going to get a diverse plate. A plate that contains, like, for a day, everybody consume anyway. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Just make sure you are navigating around this diverse diet. And everything will be erased backward. You will have nothing now following you. Yeah.
All right. Allow me to just shift a conversation kidogo before we get to the track. I have a friend of mine that has a big bowl of water, and every time he says that it's not a must that we eat the ambiguous foods, but I can just do the normal eating, the normal design, but large intake maji. How does that come across?
I think we are having a lot of misinformation, especially when we are just saying you just have to have heavy or a lot of food. It is not about that. You can have even small food that is complete for your health. So most people, I can tell you a very sad story. If you can give somebody even a stone that can fill the stomach, they will consume.
Indeed.
Without thinking that they need themselves also for tomorrow and future. So if you are really considerate about you and your environment, we are saying consume this indigenous seed because you need yourself tomorrow to be the same person. And you can never be the same person if you are consuming food that the body will just speak out and say, you don't have something in this. The body will communicate by telling you, you are healed, you have a certain condition, because you have forced your body to talk. But if you are consuming the right way, now the body will have been right. But water is very good.
Drinking a lot of water is healthy.
It is very healthy. Yeah.
All right, sawa. I'm hoping also to get into that environment where I'm drinking a bowl of water the entire day. That is probably a couple of jugs. Wow, impressive. And of course, congratulations to you. You are empowering a society to the better way possible. Amos Kileti. Of course, anasema kwamba the engagement is really amazing. It's nice to see my brother, Emmanuel Kileti. Keep up, brother. And of course, he's watching from all the way from Narok County. Of course, the engagement still continues, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, right on our YouTube channel, our health, why indigenous crops matter for public health. Earlier on, Mr. Kileti had mentioned about misinformation. And of course, when we're inviting now the conversation on public health, how well can we have this in such engagements be made known to them? Stella Modoni says important conversation, and Joseph Njoroge says watching live from Egerton University main campus. Thank you so much for making time this morning, and all of those that are engaging with us this morning. Remember, you can share the link and make sure this conversation reaches far and wide across the globe. Allow us to ask this question once more. Seed sovereignty. Of course, any one of us can engage in this, but having these nutritious foods depends on seeds access. What challenges are farmers facing with modern seed system like hybrids and GMOs? I had mentioned that earlier on. And of course, with that question, when we're speaking about seed sovereignty, what really comes into the understanding, and how and what are some of the challenges that are facing modern seed system like hybrid and GMOs? Up to this moment, we still have a system. Is this system working?
So the challenge with this modern seed system, I'm thinking of two issues.
All right.
One of it is the issue of control of seeds. The second issue or theme is the issue of access to seeds. Whoever controls the seeds is the person who benefits economically. And while the proponents of this, the hybrid, the GMOs, say that they are coming to improve yields and produce more food, for us in civil society, we have a problem with a few companies controlling the seeds. Because you find that, I think, it's like 4 companies control like 60% of these seeds. And that's a big problem. Because it denies farmers that autonomy to saving seeds. Again, the problem of these seeds is that you find that it's not possible to keep growing them, you know, harvesting and saving and multiplying them. Unlike the indigenous seeds that you can keep growing. If you find this mbande here, one piece, this bean, the one small bean, this has a lot of history in it. You know why? Because somebody hundreds of years ago grew it, and that's why we have it here. The problem of those seeds is that the hybrid ones, you have to keep buying them every season because you cannot multiply them because, again, of issues of the patenting and whatnot. The second issue is the issue of access now. Remember that when a farmer has these seeds, they can store them and keep growing them. But now those ones that you have to keep buying, the hybrid ones, it brings issues of access because they're expensive, first of all, because especially if you're growing in a big area, you can imagine you have to keep buying, This brings a lot of unnecessary costs to a farmer, and yet we can still grow this and save these indigenous seeds, which are also very healthy looking and have a lot of good yield. So that's the problem we do have. Again, we also have other issues, like now these higher modern seeds have they have a lot of footprint in terms of environmental footprint. They require a lot of inputs, chemical inputs to grow. They require a lot of, beyond now the money discussion, they require chemicals, the fertilizers and the agrochemicals, the pesticides. So that is a big problem in itself to the environment.
You've spoken so much about the farmers. I'd like Kileti to really comment on now the consumer. The consumer's input in all this. Yes, farmer ishamfurahisha and favors the farmer and the production. But what about this consumer? Do you think that the consumer also has these particular challenges? And of course, when you're inviting the conversation on the hybrids and GMOs, how does that affect the consumer?
Okay, thank you for that also touching question. Sometimes when you are having this conversation, you are always feeling injured somewhere. You are feeling some pain and irritation because these things that are happening here is happening in our life. So maybe if I can add something, because the consumer, producer and consumer, the farmer and consumer, they are very close people. So we are asking a problem of hybrid and GMO. So if I can relate with something like athletes going to run, when you are going to buy GMO seeds, it is like you are being told, set and go and run, to run for problems. Where are these problems? GMO are the crops that require a lot of care, a lot of chemicals, a lot of fertilizers for them to survive. Now, when you are engaged on those chemicals and fertilizers, you are set to go now, to go for problems. Go for mitigation now because you have touched these chemicals, you have consumed these chemicals. Go for fertilizers. In fact, you have to be running around like 3 cycles. Companies producing fertilizer, companies producing chemicals, and medicine, because this hybrid and GMOs is a set go. You need to run around these companies for you to be complete. When I come back to your question now about the consumer, you know, consumer sometimes, I think it is the worst thing that can happen when you just close your eyes and consume the bad food. Consumers consume the evil. The dangerous chemicals. In fact, there was something recently about these highly hazardous chemicals. Somebody is using the highly hazardous chemicals, and then you as a consumer, you are just sitting comfortably consuming the chemicals. How will you be? You will just have a lot of terrible life now. You will have to undergo some mitigation, some problems here and there. You will never be the same. So consumer, we normally tell people in our side, you know where you are getting your food. It is not about having money so that you can just make a call and see the food on the table. Know where those food are coming from. Because you will be consuming problems.
Thereby seed sovereignty comes in, how?
Seed sovereignty first is where we are saying, as a farmer, you have the right to save seed, you have the right to share seed, you have the right to do what you want with your seed as a local farmer. But that thing is not widely spread among the farmers, because sometimes some policies come in, like you are not supposed to have this indigenous seed, you are not supposed to sell, you are not supposed to do this under this condition. But when we go back, we know the policies are there for everybody. Seed sovereignty means everybody has the right, or the farmer has the right to protect the local indigenous seeds and do everything they want with that seed. If I want to share with you, if I want to store it, if I want to save, that is seed sovereignty. Nobody has to control me, because we are saying, whoever control the seed, control your life. So are we going to push ourselves into a corner for somebody to control all these seeds? No, we are telling the farmers now, even those people who are watching over there, you have the right to protect, to control, to do everything with these indigenous seeds, because it is something that is provided for all of us in the laws. Yeah.
All right. From what I learned from both Emmanuel and Chris is that research organizations should be involved in research of indigenous seeds and not on GMOs. That is a comment from Joseph Njoroge, and he appreciates what he's really understanding from the both of you. You've mentioned about seed sovereignty, and of course you also helped us understand that hybrid and GMOs engagement. But the both of you mentioned something about access. So when we invite a conversation on access, there is now the understanding on equitability and affordability. Then the question narrows down to, but having this nutritious, many families are struggling with food cost. How does the price and access to modern seeds compare with the farmers' saved seeds? And many of them will ask this question every time. That because I want progress, and I want something that is a little bit cheaper. I want an engagement. I want all these things to come in handy. But kuna venye price inakuwa tatizo kidogo, or access to them inakuwa tatizo kidogo. Then also in the inclusivity of different farmers to access these seeds may also be a challenging factor. How will you help us understand that particular situation on equity and affordability?
Let me just take us back to the time of our grandparents and the great-grandparents. How were they surviving without the hybrid seeds? And the generations before? They were saving seeds. They had granaries where they would select the best of the yields. If it's maize, they would select the best. Like I think this is what Emmanuel has done here. If you look at this maize closely, it's very healthy. They would store them nicely, smoke them and store them nicely. I think I know many cultures would at least hang the maize like this in somewhere around the cooking place. And this meant that the next planting season, they didn't have to buy seeds. At least what probably they would do is exchange seeds because of that to have the genetic diversity, seed exchange from a farmer to another. But what we see now with these multinationals coming in here in Africa to convince our governments why they should have the laws that prohibit sharing of seeds and saving seeds is working against smallholder farmers. Already research shows that the hungriest people in Kenya are in the rural areas. The poorest people are in the rural areas. They are also the hungriest in as much as they grow the majority of the food, which does not make sense. And this is a fact, and you know, when you think about it, if a farmer has to buy all these expensive seeds, hybrid seeds, they will also have to buy the fertilizers, and they buy, excuse me, the pesticides. They will have to buy petrol to irrigate this. It's already so much money in terms of inputs. But these indigenous seeds, they are drought, they are drought you know, tolerant. They are pest resistant. So you don't need so many of those chemicals. Even they are able to tolerate even the harsh and environmental climatic conditions of here, because they have evolved over time with the climate. They are locally adapted to their conditions. So this smallholder farmer who saves the seeds does not have a cost in terms of many costs in terms of growing the food. You get it? Compared now to the farmer who has to buy all these inputs. And remember, there are so many things that this nowadays in the economy you have to keep, I don't know, paying school fees and whatnot. So this is the solution to the problems we have with our smallholder farmers in the rural areas of hunger and poverty. So I also mentioned something like the vegetables now. Because we don't have the seeds here, I think. We have vegetables. We have managu seeds. Managu seeds. Managu. These ones you just you harvest, you process them a little, and then you store them like this in a container. And they are good to go for like what, 3 years or something? Yeah, 3 years. 3 years, and like that. And this is a lot of managu, by the way, a lot, because this is a lot of managu, and it's just free, you know.
Saga.
And saga, there's also saga. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the logic, that you don't need those expensive inputs. You don't need them. This is just multinational corporations who are coming here to benefit and feed in a parasitic relationship with our smallholder farmers.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, Kileti.
When you are talking about cost, expenses that the farmer is facing, let us say the secret behind this life. We have just said these seeds are replantable. You can regrow until infinity.
Indeed.
And these other crops like this hybrid and GMOs, you grow once and you run to the shop. I told you there is somewhere you have been set to run to, and those are the problem.
Indeed.
Now, if I can ask you also a question back to you, if these seeds can be replanted, you just grow, store them, wait for next season, plant them again. What time will you go to buy the seed? No. You will never go to the shop again. So this is where we normally think the multinational companies are coming in to do business with these seeds, because without them misinterpreting and giving us some false information about this indigenous seed. Because where I'm seated, I know a number of people, farmers, who know that these indigenous seeds are just meant for poor people. If you have these varieties, you are not enlightened that you need to have the hybrid for you to have the best crop. So when you have these indigenous seeds, people say these are made for poor people. These are food that is available. For me to be a serious person, I have to have the hybrid. Indeed. They are the best. They are very sweet. But for me, with the experience I have in this organic farming, these indigenous seeds are very sweet. They are very tasty. They are very good compared to what we normally have when we pass through these classes, especially some invention of GMOs and hybrids. So people have been made to overvalue the hybrid and GMOs. So that they don't have a space to do their things. Yeah.
What is indigenous?
Indigenous means these things that are available, that can be passed from one generation to the next generation. It is something that has existed. Yeah.
Has existed?
Yeah.
You mentioned something about replanting.
Yeah.
Then why should I go to indigenous?
you go to indigenous, because when you replant this crop, you will be able to have the production just the way you had in the first place. So the volume keep even increasing. By the way, it is the opposite of the conventional farming. When you are an agroecology farmer, these things keep even improving with time, because they are very tolerant. They don't require a lot of water anyway, because they are adaptable to different ecological conditions. If I can give you a very simple example, this is Mbasi Bichon beans from Kambani. This is the crop that behaves like a wheat. Even this Noe, they don't require a lot of water, they don't require a lot of chemicals, they just grow like a bush. You just keep harvesting these seeds and going home, harvest as you eat. So they don't require a lot of care and a lot of other practices in the farm.
Of course, there's a focus on their value and biodiversity, as well as now climate resilience, the importance of farmer managed seed system, and of course the legal and regulatory challenges faced by smallholder farmers. And of course the question now will be driven to the sense that why are indigenous seeds important for biodiversity and resilience?
Okay, yeah, I think we are just navigating around, because we have just said these things, these seeds grow well without a lot of practices. In fact, you just do some small practices. For us, we normally do biofertilizers and biopesticides.
Indeed.
So those biofertilizers and biopesticides, most of the time we normally tell the farmers, these are slow releasing fertilizers. They just release the nutrient when the plant wants that nutrient. So it means these seeds, if it does not require a certain nutrient, it will be available in the environment. So it will feed the crop that is coming in the next round. When we say biodiversity, that is what we encourage mostly, because whatever this plant is not going to use, this sunflower is going to use. This maragwe, the beans is going to give you certain nutrient in the environment. So for us, we normally say learn to accommodate different crops in your environment, as opposed to growing one variety. We discourage growing what we are calling it monocropping, going for one crop always in the farm. Please exchange these crops, because when you do crop rotation, you will be even disturbing the pest cycle. When the particular pest was about to develop, you grow another. You grow this one, and you will be having a lot of integration. Yeah.
All right. So we want to take a break. Then, of course, when we come back, we'll be able to understand now food security and all those questions that are coming in to really shape an engagement. And Dimax, of course, I'm seeing the level of water is rising, and of course, I'll give you a chance, of course, to get the understanding on this to the betterment of this engagement. So how do indigenous seeds compare to commercial hybrid varieties? And of course the question on food security will come in handy. But the question that will be our first when we get to the next session will be cultural and identity. Of course, why is it important to protect indigenous seeds, not only for food, but also for culture and tradition? Thank you so much. Continue watching the Morning Drift, the social and health hour. Today is just an engagement on our healthy foods, and of course our seeds are health. Don't go too far. It is 54 minutes past 8 a.m. Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wase wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
If you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
but you do not know the God who has been molding me, what has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
All right, welcome back. Pen and paper, and of course some research here. We are having maize, and this one is maroon maize that I'm holding here. So the conversation still is ongoing to really understand how our seeds becomes our health. And the question this morning is why indigenous crops matter for public health. If you're joining us for the first time, remember the conversation is still online on YouTube and Facebook, and of course our website www.lookuptv.co.ke. Please, Josh, confirm with me if the numbers are rising for the WhatsApp line 0745762640, and of course you can send in your comments via SMS or WhatsApp as well. We are allowing your phone call ndio tusikie unatutazama ukiwa side gani hapa Kenya. Why indigenous crops matter for public health, the food system, the seed system, and entirely understanding the food security. Leo ndo tumegundua kwamba there are different varieties of types of maize, and of course this one is maroon maize. Sisi tumezotelea white yenye bwana unapeleka kwa kisiagi, and we finalize that. Emmanuel mentioned about this maroon maize, right? That you can also take it to kisiagi and do the thing. Still applies to unga, right? Okay, so when we get to the bottom line of the conversation, and of course this is now the peak end of the session, we'll be able to shape an understanding on the food security. But the question that is driven onto all of us now, why is it important to protect indigenous seeds, not only for food, but also for culture and tradition? That is a very important question when it comes now to the alignment of understanding healthy seeds and food security. So the entire engagement since we started is very important, Crispus. It's very important and significant because it plays a very important role in shaping healthy seeds. So why do you think it's important to protect these indigenous seeds?
The reason why, so there's a question he had asked about that and why in terms of the cultural perspective.
Indeed.
Is because seeds are tied to a community's identity. Seeds are tied to our identity, our culture. And we shouldn't lose that because that is what defines us as a people.
Kama saga.
Kama saga.
Saga ni awa.
You know, the different indigenous vegetables. We know, like now we know the Kisis are very good with that, you know, and also the Luya community. So it's important that we protect that. The second reason is because these seeds also move on with the cultural knowledge, the knowledge of like now the seeds that we just pinpointed here. They have with them cultural knowledge, great cultural knowledge that was passed down by our grandmothers, our grandfathers, and the reason why they have come to this point is because these grandparents of ours, or our ancestors, were intentional enough to store them, to share these seeds, to exchange them, and hand them over to us. And that's why we have them right here. Right now we are seeing these seeds being fought by the hybrid ones, fought by GMOs, fought by these modernization aspects. And we resist that by protecting these seeds, because with the modernization aspect is also the issue of many diseases coming. We have just said that the modern seeds require a lot of farm inputs, a lot of chemicals, and with that comes issues of public health, issues of disease, issues of cancers, because of the pesticide problems that we have. So when we protect these seeds, we are protecting our health as well. And you know, also we have been using these seeds a lot for cultural practices. Like now, whenever there is a wedding in some community, you would find that the seeds are now used for these cultural practices. Whether it's a bride price, whether it's a dowry negotiations, whether it's a wedding, particularly for sorghum and all those. There has been that exchange of seeds, you know, to signify that ceremony. So seeds are important to our cultural endeavors as a people.
Indeed. Of course, in embracing that, there is now the modernization and on all these. Do you think things are changing as far as we speak, when we speak about culture and the tradition? For Kenyan today, kurudi kwa culture inaweza kuwa ngori, and that is why many will opt now for modernized foods and kusema saga, sasa saga tunaachia shughuli zetu.
A big problem of colonization of our minds and colonization of our food, and we at IFJAD actually we fight that a lot. Yeah, actually when we were growing up we were told that it's food for poor people.
For older people?
For poor people. The indigenous,
so poor people should do that?
The indigenous vegetables. There was that belief that when you eat managu and the sheveve, misheveve, and managu, it is when you're very broke. So those there have been very negative perceptions. But
right now they're expensive.
But we are seeing a shift now because people are now going back to those indigenous veggies because they've realized that they are very, very healthy. I think there is hope because even for the maize, we are also advocating for people to return to these indigenous, this red, yellow, orange maize and all those, and the different varieties of legumes, especially the pulses. Not just depending on yellow bean, but there are so many that we need to actually eat because they have a lot of health benefits. So we are seeing a shift in as much as
in the Naltango Galia brown.
No. Yeah. This one is a lightly. I think it's kind of a creamish color. Ugalia brown sana ni the millets.
Oh, the millets.
The millets, the sorghum. And iko na hiyo ugali and some versions have cassava as well. You like have cassava and sorghum ina make unga ya ugali, and it's actually very tasty. Ukizoea unajua unazoea tu, usikule tu utamu juu unakula ile glucose ya ugali. That ugali you can learn to eat it and enjoy it.
Okay, alright. So unajua hizi chakula zingine kuna watu wanadhania like ugati unakula ugali ya brown, ugali ya yellow, unakula saga, sijui managu na mseveve. But anyway, which really shaped our upbringing up to this moment. And watu wengi wata opt for this indigenous because wameona sukuma wiki ni inapimwa kidogo sai. For this it's that, hey, anyway, so when we shape this conversation, it's very important for someone out there, and as Chris had mentioned, why are we having this shift? So why are many people getting themselves to indigenous? Mbona watu wengi sana, you know, we were told earlier on that watu kama kina Moi walikuwa wanapenda sana this kind of foods that and sasa ili wafanya wakakuwa wazee, and when people feel like they can adapt to that, they'll figure to that point in time. In the protection of all this, how now does food security come in?
Thank you. I'm coming to why food security, but again I want to add something on cultural and why do we have to protect this?
Okay.
Why do we have to protect this? The answer is very simple. You protect your life. We said our seeds, our life, our health. So if you are not going to protect these seeds, it means you are going to compromise your health.
Okay.
So the very big reason you protect this and you protect yourself, you will become safe.
Indeed.
When I come to the issue of culture, you have just said people are not cultural nowadays, something. Now, when we are doing this agroecology, we normally say we go for the good practices in cultural. So people are embracing these things like even beyond what we normally know that culture is something that is backdated, backward. People are embracing this because of the value of now the knowledge that is coming back now that if I consume this food, I'm now becoming stronger, I'm becoming better, I will be able to pursue my things. Now, when I come to food security now that you have just mentioned, we just say these indigenous seeds are the seeds that will make you not to overspend fast. No inputs. You don't have to buy a lot of inputs. You will have them season after season. Some of these seeds can stay even for more than 3 years. Like for our farmers, organic farmers, I normally have them, we visit them in their places. Like some 2 days ago, I was in the with a farmer, and she was explaining this the 2 years is for, it will last me up to when, because it is just a matter of knowing how to preserve them. So when you have food continuously in your house, it means you are very secure. You always have something to cook. Farmers were being asked, suppose you are locked in your room for more than 1 month. For you to say you are an organic farmer or an agroecological farmer, you need to look for any other thing, because most of the things will have to come from your farm, from your compound. So this, the question about food security, it is self-explained.
Indeed. Which is very significant and very important. The question right now is, of course, now because we've dealt so much on understanding the food security and all those, you're right, health and plus policy connection, then how can we now this? And also, as if JAD is really trying to emphasize and create more advocacy in all these, and then I am happy that health really came out very clear when we spoke about these seeds and how they drive in better health for the consumer. So what risks do patents and seeds laws pose to farmers' ability to save and share seeds? Please.
So probably we can start by defining patenting. What's patenting? Something patented is something that is I would say covered, held together by very strong, strict laws. That this something belongs to me. I'm the founder of it. I am the owner of it, and I'm the one with the rights to distribute these seeds and to sell them. And you cannot, even you as a farmer, you cannot keep those seeds and save them and multiply them, even you yourself. So some of those nonsensical laws are not good for farmers. Because patented seeds, when you share patented seeds, you can be sued. And there was something like that in the seed and is it the seed and plant currently being reviewed because again of the noise. It was very unfavorable to smallholder farmers who want to continue sharing seeds and saving seeds, because when you do that, you can, I think it was like 2 million shillings or something, I don't remember.
Wow.
So
Incredible.
when we this locks out many smallholder farmers who have, we have been saving these seeds for generations and generations, and that's why we have them. And in the African culture, actually, I remember someone mentioning this recently, that you cannot deny someone seeds actually to plant. Mbegu hainyimanu, you just share seeds, some seeds, you go and save.
Indeed.
And it is a culture even with Sishap, which is a very vibrant and good community. If you want some seeds, you go get some and you continue planting. So that is it. The folly also of the patenting issue is that these guys who are doing the hybrid seeds have also done that from indigenous varieties.
Okay.
It's not like they have created something, create actually something new. But even for them, it is that they have taken this maize that is indigenous, and then they have done their things, the biotech with something. Okay. So at the end of the day, what wins is the indigenous variety that is not and plant as we want.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Another law is coming in, but Emmanuel, of course, now the issue on counterfeit and trust issue. So you often hear about counterfeit, build trust through things like seed banks or seed fairs.
Counterfeit, other things, they don't apply majorly anyway when we are saying we are doing this indigenous seeds, because for somebody to come and claim I'm giving you some particular seeds, you in whatever form, those people are the one who are giving us some counterfeit. Because farming, we normally practice what has been practiced for years. It is not something that is starting now. So when we harvested maize, like this one, you just waited for proper maturity, you harvest, and you do some small process, saved. So, and there is also the very crucial part, it is called germination test. So for me to have these seeds, I should know they should germinate when I grow. I do that germination test. That is what we normally do, especially in agroecology. So it is very difficult for anybody to say these seeds are a counterfeit or they are what, because anyway we understand this is Kenya and people like some shortcuts for them to get money. But for when you come to some organization, especially for us, we normally do. We even give you some simple ways of testing it. In 2 to 3 days, we give you this maize. I will just tell you, just pluck some few corns, test. There is a way you test the germination, and in 2 to 3 days, you'll be having more than 90%. So when you get 90% germination rate, you know these seeds are going to germinate. I'm going to depend on this person who is changing the mindset. For you to know the right thing, you need to know when you are buying. You need to buy a thing that is looking like this, so that you just don't wake up and say somebody is selling some sorts of seeds. Just know exactly what is required for you as a farmer. You are required to know the process, germination, how to store them, how to even continue preserving them.
Kabisa, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that. Yes, as you answer that, of course, can indigenous seeds really help us cope with climate change while still putting healthy food on the table?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that aspect of the question was asking about whether seed fairs can help us, especially to get real non-counterfeit seeds. And I would say yes.
Okay.
They normally have, from time to time, they have events where they invite people, farmers, and they come and learn about seeds and buy some seeds or exchange seeds. And it's that the seeds you're buying they only allow people who are verified, people who are known, people who have a track record of good quality seeds. Even at the national level, such things happen for anybody who is watching and they're probably interested in this conversation around indigenous seeds and where they can get the indigenous seeds, and there's this annual seed fair that happens every year in this country, and it will actually be happening in the 14th and 15th of October, which is next month. And people can go there and see seeds in every color of the rainbow, every color. Purple seeds and blue and green, whatever. You know, have you ever seen green beans? Do you know there's a variety of beans that are green in color?
I know peas.
Not peas, green.
No, not really.
Yeah. There is also another one variety in purple. There is pink. There's just basically all those colors.
Incredible.
That are actually just disappearing unless we do something about it. So there's a seed fair called the seed fair. There's a long name, Indigenous, but it's happening next month from 14th and 15th.
Amazing.
In Governor's Ground in Nanyuki.
Right.
So for those people who have some money, they want to do a road trip, they can go there and with friends and hire a car and go and learn about seeds, you know. Then now to your question about connecting indigenous seeds with climate, it is very, very clear. Like I think we've just been saying that these seeds do not require a lot of inputs, and they don't require. Now, indigenous seeds are grown locally, right? This means that the food that we grow and will be sold here locally will not have gone long distances with the vehicles and the ship and the aeroplanes. The issue of carbon footprint happens where we have to import rice from Pakistan, we have to import garlic from China, they have to use the ship, they have to use aeroplanes and pollute and pollute and so when we grow these foods here locally, like now they have a farm where I buy my vegetables from, you see that those are short distances. This food is not contributing to what? To the carbon footprint, and so it's good for the climate. Also back home in the villages, a lot of our farmers grow the hybrid seeds with, for instance, petrol or diesel because of the pumps, the pumping. This again is contributing to the climate problem because of the carbon. So, but when we grow these foods, we don't require a lot of, they are drought resistant in some ways, then they won't have a problem with water as much. And so they pollute less. And and also the issues of now growing food, what we call taking advantage of territorial markets. That every region should have these markets where people go and buy, rather than having to wait for an onion to come all the way from I don't know where. Our peanuts come from all the way from Malawi, and yet we have peanuts that we can grow peanuts here in Kenya. So yes, these conversations around agroecology make sense for the climate as much as they make sense for our health.
Okay, very powerful. I know education is important, and of course the CBC comes in handy to provide classes agriculture at a young age. Pia high schoolers pia wanapata hiyo nafasi ya kusomea kilimo. So what role do schools, households and young people have in keeping these nutritious indigenous crops alive, which is basically a new development? Help us with that with very few words so that we can now give in your call to action, a unifying call that is. So when you talk about seed, sovereignty and nutrition together, what is your shared message for Kenyans watching tonight, this morning, sorry?
Thank you.
So you answer that very briefly, then we invite that unifying call from Crispus and you as well. Also you can interject it with the unifying call. If
okay, so when we say schools, most of the time we mean the younger person.
Indeed.
So the children in school are the big imitators of our activities. They normally go home and say, the teacher has said we grow this is nutritious,
Indeed.
this is better. That is the main message we normally have when we are engaging with schools. For them to have the proper knowledge, the proper idea, so that they can pass the knowledge and grow up with the good information for themselves and for the environment.
Saga to the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, give us
a bit that schools provide a good opportunity for teaching young people about these indigenous foods and our indigenous food systems in the curriculum, first of all. Also through inviting them to the fairs and the cultural shows. Like now, they always invite schools, public schools and whichever schools that are in, and they get to learn about these things. The last thing I think about is transforming school meals by incorporating indigenous foods.
Amazing.
We have a problem of anemia in this country, for instance, big problem, which women of reproductive age and adolescent girls. But when you look at the kind of food that we serve in schools, it's just pathetic food. I normally call it pathetic food that should be fed to pigs. Many of us went to schools where the food was just really bad, not well thought of, does not have any, the managus and the tereres and whatnot, just cabbage and boring beans and boring ugali. And yet, we have the potential to transform those meals in a way that will transform also the health of these learners. You can imagine if the learners, the girls, before even they begin menstruation, which is now where the anemia problem comes in, they are exposed to healthy foods, like now the ugali, some meat here or there.
Okay.
These will help them a lot from primary school to the high school level to the campus level. But if you walk randomly to a high school or randomly to especially university is also we lose a lot of young women to, especially in the maternity, the pregnancy periods because of anemia.
Indeed.
And this is something that can be easily be fixed in schools. That kids learn about this, they eat it in school, and they also study about it.
All right, a powerhouse indeed. You've mentioned so many. Thank you so much, Crispus. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. At this point in time, we have very few minutes to wind up this session, and of course, very empowering session for many other farmers and consumers out there. But at this particular point in time, let's now give ourselves a unifying call to many farmers out there, to the consumer, to Indigenous, and also to answer the question why Indigenous crops matter for public health. We've done that as well. So give us the unifying factor and the unifying call as we come to a close of this social health hour.
Indigenous seeds and crops are the solution to the many problems we are having in our health, and the solution to the many problems we are having in terms of climate. This is where we should go. This is where we should focus our attention on. And if you want to learn more about these issues of seeds, indigenous seeds, and all these biodiversity issues, plan to attend this free forum on the 14th and 15th of October. Very much free in Nanyuki. Many people like Nanyuki. Take a road trip there and with your friends and go learn for 2 days. Learn about seeds and indigenous, and eat some indigenous foods as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you. Things I would like to say is that for you now as a farmer, avoid a lot of misinformation. Avoid people coming to your place and telling you these things are backward, these things cannot grow, a lot of things that make you. So one simple message to you who is listening, find this conversation. Have time to listen even to IFCHAT doing advocacy about this health. Come to C-Shape, we train you, we show you, you see practically how we are doing it in our demo farm. Come to agroecological organization like Pelham Kenya is an umbrella of many organizations in Kenya. I think now more than 69 organizations doing agroecological agriculture. So for them, this is what we are practicing in that umbrella. Ask yourself where you are going to get this information. And when you get the information, you will be able to move. Remember, we normally say, you may forget the menu of the food you eat. You cannot take a poison and just forget about it. The body will just remind you. You just consumed something very bad. So always remember what you are consuming. Consume with conscience. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. What a privilege to have you guys. Conversation, and what I didn't know, I have known. What I didn't learn, I'm learning right now, and to many others. For example, my dear brother who loves water. So of course, I don't know if there's indigenous water as well. but we'll get a point in that. Of course, it's so much a privilege to have you, and of course to have this conversation. So Road to Indigenous begins right now, and the question or the answer is found. Why indigenous crops matter for public health is of course for conscious consumption, and of course for access and making sure that the health really stands out to the betterment. Now, that is the end of this particular engagement. Remember, this is September month. Even as we come to the alignment in all this, there are many others that have lost hope in their lives and trying to find ways on how to maneuver in life because of the difficulty situation that they are into. So next week we'll be having an engagement on suicide, because many young people are committing suicide. One of them is maybe relationship or employment opportunities, and many of them will try develop a sense of I can fight this alone. So kama hakutakuwa na jawabu, they might tend to kujimalo tu tukisonga. So that is a cause of alarm. We'll get that understanding in the better way possible to make sure that we have an alignment in the heart of the society. That will be happening next week on Wednesday. So cheza kama wewe, make time with us. Thank you so much, Stella Mudhoni. Important conversation. Thank you so much, brother, to Emmanuel Kileti. Amos Kileti says, watching you live from Narok County. Asante sana. Joseph Njoroge says, and ask so many questions. Of course, you'll get to understand that. Is going on, and so there's a question that Joseph Njoroge asked: do you have an arena where farmers or people who are interested in getting these indigenous seeds, of course, visit CSHAP and visit IFJAD? You'll get an understanding in that. Tony Shirakuli says, Congo, keep up the good fight. Natural Africana says, good insights, thanks for being courageous enough to decolonize food in Africa. Asante sana. Without much ado, thank you so much, King Dantimax. Thank you so much, Kamefe. And of course, lovely graphics. If you see the thumbnail there, mashallah. Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you so much, Bansal. And when I get to the indigenous names right there, I'll make sure I'll call them and give them a shout out. Thank you so much, Josh. See you tomorrow as we Entertainment Friday right here on Lookup Television. My name is Moses Kesh. This has been the Morning Drift, the Social and Health Hour. Goodbye for now.